Still plenty of fans on both sides here. A little bit extra towards the end there as well. XL2, of course, have Bianca on the backup roster there, the bench, if you will.
Wonder if that's what that third chant was.
Possibly. I mean, he's a well enough known player.
A pog in the chat for Bianca.
But I think at the end of the day, still, the fans know. Look, the home team is definitely Element Mystic. XL2 representing York Excelsior in some ways. They're going to need to channel that team now. They're going to need to channel that Overwatch League team, that kind of dominance if they want to be able to overcome this enemy.
We've talked about some of these matchups, how things shake up. I really want to keep my eyes on Hanbin versus Buds here. I feel like we've seen Hanbin really show some class on Sigma. We've seen Buds have some solid plays as well. I want to see how they really shake up head-to-head, and tell you what, we're going to find out lickety-split.
KSP as well, one of the key members of this team, XL2. They got a lot of veterans. You hear Buds himself did play on the Apex stage back all the way back then.
Just having a nice scrap early on. And that's a little B for the opening bit, just teams jostling for position. Seeing if they can set something up. Ooh, Doha paying that one back quickly is critical, and it also opens the door for Sparkle with that first shield down. He himself will eliminate the second. Speedily keeping it interesting though. KSP as well. That's 2 DPSs to 1 now, favoring XL2. Now picking up Sparkle as well. XL2 are going to get the better end of that opening scrap and get the point as it opens.
You actually saw the better opening from XL2 overall. Speedily went in super early, got a huge knock-up on a lot of EM players. Sparkle responded with a couple of picks, but at the end of the day, Sparkle goes down. KSP and Speedily are able to clean up the rest of the members.
Let's see if they can replicate that success though. XL2, it's a promising start to be sure, but starts aren't everything. Obviously, MCD early coalescence. Haku did have the match, but Speedly's the first casualty. Now Bud's taking a bit of pressure. Element Mystic looking a little bit more definitely intended pun in their element. Sparkle getting aggressive, doing what he does best. Meteor Strike looking to go right down on top of these tanks.
You can look at positioning here as well. Sound Barrier being used, but KSP not saved by that. Speedily nearly looking at Meteor Strike himself.
It did save the tanks, which was nice because that was who Sparkle was prioritizing. Instead, you see Gig with a lot of help. That at least maybe opens up a supercharger. Sparkle's still in the mix, but Speedily finds MCD. They've got this, maybe XL2 have got gas in the tank. They're forcing Element Mystic to really dig deep if they want to make this happen.
And XL2 have kind of been patient about the Sound Barrier coming through from Unique, but now Speedily down, Sparkle is showing up.
And that's the thing, I mean, yeah, long drawn out fight, that's all well and good, but that means Sparkle's been in it for a long time. As I say that, he then gets boomed out of it, but when the dust settles, it's actually XL2 picking up the extra frags.
And I'm looking at OG as well. He's the one picking up two towards the end there. He was the one that got an initial Sound Barrier in. It didn't save KSP, but it gave the rest of the team enough space to work with. And now you're in a position where 70% to 0, XL2 on the first round, away in the lead.
Element Mystic, you know, having the Vietnam flashbacks about now. How does this work? This is similar to where they were in their first match of the day, and they ended up dropping that opening, not just round, but also the map at all. They need to turn this one back around. That is a good, promising start, but traded back straight away. There's Doha! Oh, goodness gracious! Doha has finally logged into Overwatch.
And this is where XL2 now will finally have their point taken away. 92% is all they're going to get for now. So now take another look at Doha moving in with the 4K right at the back line, and XL2 crumbled.
And he got the opening kill there as well, right? It had been traded out with Sparkle dying, but it just goes to show it's not just the Sparkle shot.
This is where we see Speedily in that previous fight going down super early as well. If that continues to happen with XL2, it's going to be bad news.
Sparkle looking to get aggressive right down onto OG. He knows who the real carry is in this team. Buds as well getting picked off early. And again, Element Mystic just looking that little bit more comfortable as this time goes by.
And this is the kind of matchup where you look at plays like Sparkle and Speedily, and it kind of reminds you of our opening match of the day. The last time we saw EM take up the Doomfist against Panapan, it comes down to these two very good players. Who gets more value? Who gets more kills? Who stays alive?
XL2 do have a coalescence up on MCD. That won't be an advantage that lasts very long. Indeed, might not even exist by the time the fight breaks out, but they've got a lot to work with still, potentially, XL2.
Haku's going to coalescence in here. XL2 still trying to fight towards this point. Of course, EM have capped over 55% now.
And EM are happy to just sit back and let this one roll out. They don't want to let XL2 get too much value too quickly. They know they get more ultimates coming up on rotation, just with how the timings have worked out. And they leverage that very nicely, very cleanly, now starting to get closer to equalizing that percentage.
The OG is the only one who gets out alive, the person that doesn't get exit fragged, and that's going to be a couple more respawners. Bud's the last one taken down before XL2 get their all members of the team back together. And Sparkle's starting to really outshine Speedily now. He's overtaken by double the hero damage spent so far in the game.
We're also starting to approach one fight territory, and interestingly enough, look, that could still be XL2's fight. See how it all works out. Supercharged down, ready for Alpha. That's a nice Death Blossom from KSP. Finds the inside track. Sparkle is to use this to reposition. May want to try and take someone with him as he goes, but might not be so lucky. KSP just keeping the team in this.
KSP is really popping off right now, and EM could lose this one if they're not careful. About 2% away. Someone needs to touch the point. Alpha has come here.
Oh, that's so brutal. If Dart stayed alive, maybe found a health pack, they could get back in it with a Death Blossom. Instead, it's just Alpha keeping the point alive. He's now low. It's Sparkle's turn to juggle that overtime. He's already brought low. He's already picked off. KSP again finishes off Alpha, does the dirty work. Element Mystic do not have a lot left to go on here. Maybe if Doha can get back in with a Death Blossom, but is anyone else even going to be there to help him set it up or even capitalize on it? The answer is looking like a solid no.
And they don't even have the right heroes here. Alpha's still on the wrecking ball. He's trying to contest. Humben died on the Reinhardt. XL2 are just cleaning up.
The play's so nice, they did it twice, and suddenly Element Mystic find themselves dropping just that very first rounds of control. It doesn't mean they're going to drop all of control. I dare say that was far closer than what happened at this same point versus Talon, but still, XL2 showing up.
It's a slow march, it's a slow siege to take down a team like Element Mystic, and despite Talon's best efforts, they couldn't do it previously, but it does begin with that first check mark on the list. Take a round here, take 2 rounds here. That's your first map. Take 2 maps, 3 maps, and you suddenly have the series.
Math checks out. XL2, they're on the way. They've begun the path. Element Mystic do have to answer back. I expect that they can, I expect that they will. But again, this is not a team to be trifled with. Element Mystic keep finding themselves in that situation.
It's also about the confidence here as well for XL2, knowing that they can take it to Element Mystic, who are now going to be re-rolling out one Sparkles. Barrow once again, Doha this time on the Doomfist, much like what we saw the last time they played.
And I'm really liking this big
straight away.
Again, OG, they know who the real carriers here, know their priority targets, and there's just nothing that XL2 can really do against this. They're just scattered. Sparkles basically raining rockets for free right now.
There wasn't a lot they could do in the position that they were in as soon as OG goes down, but if XL2 can maybe scout this a little bit early, scouting in terms of, oh, I see rockets flying at me, it's definitely a bar on the field here. You need to now leverage your Hulk combos, put the accretion in there as well. You need to find ways to either really put your focus on the Pharah or ignore the Pharah and go for others, because look at this is what is happening once more.
I also want to talk about something else that's happening. XL2 are getting no ultimate charge, no one above 20%. OG just hitting it now, with the exception of Haku, compared to Element Mystic. XL2 haven't made any hero swaps.
We're going to be seeing the Rocket Barrage come through pretty soon. So far, XL2 just want to keep going with us. Like you mentioned, no hero swap so far. Accretion misses by a mile. Sparkle is just still on the farm. He's found the angle.
Oh, right from the back. Does get picked off, but he brought Buds and Gig low, so it's still XL2 fighting from a difficult spot as the rest of EM come in to pick off the scraps, and they're going to have no trouble doing so.
This is a really unfortunate position now. Yes, they did get Sparkle, like we mentioned, but sadly, that's all they got. XL2 are still just struggling to really make any headway here. Can't quite get onto the point. Haven't seen the point realistically. About 50% now ticked up for Element Mystic, and the rest of the vaults are still coming up for their players.
This is a really brutal one for XL2. It's almost like at this point, they're just waiting to not have to play against the Pharah is what it feels like.
But Supercharger did come down here, and Doha getting taken down is a pretty big deal, so XL2 finally hit by 1 member.
Speedily pays it back double, actually, getting Alpha as well. The res does come in, so technically this is even numbers, and remember, EM do have more ultimates at their disposal, but they put the point in the midst of the chaos. This is really where Sparkle wants to fight. Speedily is out around the side of the point going down, unfortunately, but Element Mystic have given up a significant amount of percentage at this point.
They are now moving back in. They are finding these kills. Humben was the first one. The Flux came through, allows the rest of the EM to walk in, and now XL2 are struggling to make trades happen.
Haku's kept them alive for a good enough time to get KSB's Doom and Death Blossom out. He does pick up 2. But again, Element Mystic can dig just a little bit deeper. I have to credit XL2 actually for getting a lot out of that situation.
They're about to get 30%, you'd like to think. Yeah, they still have members. Speedily is still just hanging about. Yeah, 32 and counting. EM are eventually going to have this back in their possession, but XL2, they need a couple more good fights. We're about to hit that 99% overtime, and then EM, you'd like to think, probably take it.
For XL2, that felt like 30% that they probably shouldn't have got, or I say shouldn't have, but you wouldn't have expected they'd get. They kind of got a free
30% EM shouldn't have given over, I think, to be more accurate.
Exactly. The question is, can they turn that into the remaining 70? Doha has something to say about it. Looking like the answer is a hot, spicy no. Sparkle and Doha together, just absolutely unbelievable.
And at 98%, there's not even time for XL2 to reinforce here. You know that overtime wick is going to burn down, and you know EM are going to take us to the 3rd round.
They don't want to have that same start to the series as what they had earlier today. They're like, no, wait, hold on, we're Element Mystic. We're the favorite of this group. We already beat Talon. We can do that again to XL2. We don't have to drop maps on the way. Having evened things up now, and I have to say in spectacular fashion, you've got to feel they're now the favorite team again coming in to our last map.
And it could just be a case, Element Mystic need a little bit of time to warm up here. They just need that one round in. Against Talon, they needed that one map before they took another one back. But so far, it is also a case of momentum shifting in towards Element Mystic's favor. More and more so. Sparkle looking like he wants to go back into the fire here. XL2 showed that they were not able to really deal with this properly, and they should struggle again based on that.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it for Element Mystic. And XL2, we talk about momentum. I question whether they can get momentum back on their side now that they appear to have lost it, but I'm more than willing to be surprised.
We talked about Hanbin a little bit earlier, but he's now just about double the damage of Buds on the other side. So in terms of the key players and key matchups, Element Mystic has all of them.
And I wondered how that one was going to go. That's already an early pick off onto Doha, actually. And the Sparrow's not quite getting the same early value.
It's a little bit of a slow start here. It seems like Doha's not going to get resurrected. Killed a little bit too far away, speedily, possibly in trouble.
Alpha ends up getting picked off as well. Again, I say Sparkle's just not having that same impact, unfortunately. And it feels like it's slow going, but XL2 is slowly but surely chipping away at EM. Sparkle's had a lot of time free firing now, and it's not really had that much impact.
Well, the difference is he got instant kills and supports last time. So far now, he's been firing mainly at tanks, so he's had a bit of trouble confirming those kills. One of those players he was shooting was also Speedily, who kind of just got himself out of that situation. XL2 now claimed this cap, 10% ahead, and EM is still just waiting. They do have the rocket barrage, however.
Again, the question is still, can they really reclaim that momentum? This is a decent start, but they need to follow that up with a good fight. Unique, so fresh, and barely slipping out of that. It's just a little bit more time on the point for XL2. They did also use a Coalescence that didn't get them much value, unfortunately, but early kill onto MCD. Rocket Barrage, can it get anything done? It gets Gig. That's going to be it, though. It's a 1-for-1 so far.
And I think Sparkle is, in some cases, lucky he didn't go down there. 1-for-1 is a pretty decent deal in that particular situation. Now Speedily's down. It can be winnable. Hanbin, though, makes things a little bit weird.
Again, OG's the real carry here. He finds a frag, he turns it back around, it's at least even. Doha looking for something with the Meteor Strike. Nobody's really out in the open like that. In fact, Doha's low, does get OG with the help of Sparkle, and he might not even go down himself at this rate.
And that looks a lot like what we saw in the previous round, where Sparkle just snipes out his support with Doha going down. It's just still so even, and as it's more and more even, XL2 still have the point.
Yeah, you suddenly look up at that percentage, they're at 60%, and it feels like we've been fighting for some 50 of that. Element Mystic, if they're gonna get this, they need to do a clean engage.
They got OG again. Okay, another great start. You snipe down a support at 6 versus 5. And you know, like you mentioned, close to the sound barrier. So they take that off the table, at least for now.
XL2 is gonna lean into what else they have, because in all fairness, EM don't actually have a lot just yet. Now kind of getting the ultimates up and available. See what they can get done with them.
This is where you want to see them attack, and that's going to be another kill. OG just can't get anything done.
Getting picked on. It ends up being a 2-for-2 though. Once again, Element Mystic, they have the supercharge down still. Again, trades coming through. They need to finish off Hanbin, who slips out just barely, and this looks like it might be the one for EM. It kind of has to be now, because we're nearly at 99%.
It's finally the one for EM. That's the real problem that we're looking at here. OG is alive. He's starting to do some work. Oh, I say that as he goes down super quickly. XL2, if they do lose this one, which they do now lose, it's 99%. They're still in a great spot. Element Mystic are the ones that could be in trouble, especially with 3 low members.
Jiminy Christmas, Hanbin just saved Doha's bacon right there. Got halted back further down the alleyway. It's like trying to run from a mugging. But he gets out, and he stays alive. That could have been instant disaster for EM otherwise.
Still a little bit of an uphill battle here for Element Mystic. They're trailing by a large percentage amount. They have a decent amount of ultimates, though, and they cannot afford to lose any fights. That's the first pick.
Yeah, big early one. That's what happens when Doha's alive instead of dead, as it could have been. But we
boy!
Doha! Just keeping it going, and I bet at this point XL2 are wishing they had killed him in that alleyway a few seconds prior. This is what EM need to do.
What was that about Doom in the room? Because that's what it looks like. You have a bunch of players all just put together in a small space, meteor strike smacking down right on top of them. You could not have wished for a better scenario for Doha. And now this is the kind of momentum, we talk about that again, the element Mystic need. They can't lose another fight, 50% here, and they're still rolling through.
There was an old woman in Britain, this is a true story, whose house got hit by a meteor and it landed on her dog and killed it. Doha has that meteor.
Very grim. I like animals.
Just thought I'd bring that up, make you all feel a little bit more sad, but XL2 looking to fight back in now, Supercharger. Got a bit of mileage, but they didn't get any kills, and they also blew their defensive ultimates, their support ultimates rather, without much to show for it, so Element Mystic are in a good spot here.
And I'm looking for Sparkle to get a couple of picks here, maybe just one. He's trying to avoid Buzz if possible, but time's running out because Alpha's down.
Yeah, between Speedly and KSP, they make that one happen. Good trade, though, onto Buzz, and Giga's been low for a long time. Speedly finds Doha, trades back and forth.
I think this is last fight.
Oh my goodness, Speedly getting them down. Now Sparkle's got to get a lot more than just that. There's still some members here from XL2 that could maybe come in and reinforce it, but Element Mystic have the numbers advantage for now.
And now we're seeing the Wrecking Balls come through from both sides as well. Hanbin, even on the Diva, we know for both ends, it's 99-299. The winner will take the round, and OG's down again.
By having to get that overtime, he unfortunately forfeits his life. The real heartbreaker is KSP following that one, and they've clawed it back. XL2 looked like they had it all in the bag, but with Speedly down, you don't see Buzz lasting all that long on his own here. Between him and Gig, there's a lot of work to do and just not enough time. Element Mystical, 6 members now on the point, even coming up on some ultimates for good measure, and I don't think they will need to go that length just yet. Element Mystic, 99-99, turning it back around, gonna pick up the first series, or first map of the series.
Towards the end there as well, you start to see, okay, the kills are no longer coming through. The faucet for XL2 has been turned off. When you start to see the hero swaps coming through as well, traces for KSP, you start to see it was Buzz going over to the Wrecking Ball. Part of the issue here is you now no longer have the capability of really shutting down Sparkle, who's still on this Sparrow, by the way. So despite both teams starting to make hero swaps, it's actually XL2 that no longer have the right composition to deal with Sparkle, where Sparkle and the rest of Element Mystic can still take down XL2.
It felt like a lot of that for XL2 was, let's see if we can just ignore Sparkle and just win the rest of the fight. And it like almost worked, but then not really. Because there is a crunch point where no matter how well you deal with everyone else, you're still going to have to deal with Sparkle at some point. And they never really did. I don't know that he actually died on
I'll be honest, I think they dealt with them reasonably well at the start, but that was just at the start, and this is only the start of the series. When we come back, it's going to be map number 2.
And welcome back to the standard timeline.
Yep.
Where Element Mystic don't drop the first map of the series. They look good. They look a little bit more comfortable, maybe after at least getting past Talon, not losing that series outright. They feel a little bit more comfortable in their own skins.
Well, it's at least an improvement, right? Because we saw them lose the first map in our last series that Element Mystic played in, but this time around it was just one round. You saw there in the intro the 7 teams walking up to Korea. 6 of them remain. One of them is still XL2. It's about to head into Kings Row.
That's one that XL2 have picked out especially. Not that it's an overly special map, mind you. I feel like everyone's pretty comfy on Kings Row. Funny enough, that was what Element Mystic picked when they were in that exact same situation early today. So XL2, look, they know what they're getting into with this.
And clarification, it's the 7 of the non-Korean teams coming over to Seoul for the Giga Arena. Legendary place where, again, legends have been made here. This is where we've seen some of the best players. We've also seen a lot of upsets, a lot of hardships, and one of those was HSL that are gone now. XL2 are in a position where they're up against some Korean greats on the side of Element Mystic. They've already tasted that first map loss. They chose Kings Row. It's up to them now to prove that they can take this map, because we saw Talon get it here. They were at 2, they were at the 1-1 at this stage of the game. XL2 needs to be here too.
I think there's a world as where we have to look very clearly at what this means for XL2. They've got to prove that they can take it to Korean teams.
Which is, of course, a requirement for actually winning the tournament.
Funny
there are
enough.
3 Korean teams here. XL2 fans still backing them right now, wanting them to get the maps in there. We gotta go down the checklist. You gotta get that first map, get that second one if you want a chance to push it to match point. So far, EM are the ones that are going to be in the lead.
Gotta say, I feel like that chant was a bit louder than the first time around. Maybe they feel XL2 needs the energy, but we talk about needing to beat Korean teams. Look, without wanting to harp on about it, obviously, like, Talon at least showed they've got the stuff. XL2, whether or not you go into the losers bracket, winners bracket, what have you, you're right, you have to get past Korean teams, and XL2 have got to prove that.
It's just the case that we already have had a non-Korean team kind of set the benchmark of what is possible against the Korean juggernauts. No, that wasn't a win. But could any team actually get that win so far? XL2 need to be that next team, at least in this side of the bracket, to kind of prove it. They're the one of the 3 teams still remaining.
There was some promise on Achilios.
That's massive, actually.
Not often we see the entry frag come out, but KSB nails MCD.
You gotta see the confidence now. Gig just moving directly onto the point. Takes half his life though, but he just wants to take the space.
Yeah.
And EM are respecting this. It will be giving away at least 1 or 2 ticks.
I really like that from Gig, just the willingness to walk forward, knowing that the other team does actually have to walk backwards, really. He doesn't second guess it. And now Element Mystic are forced in. KSP, 2 for 2 now. Almost gonna complete this cap, dare I say, 91%. XL2 off to a hot start once again.
KSB at the front of that. He's the spearhead right now. XL2
Bite's not even
still
done.
able to get more. Alpha down now as well. Element Mystic are just bleeding.
Yeah, this is a disaster for EM right now. Like I said, Bite's not even done, and the cap's actually gone through, which means XL2 kind of get double for the money, right? They get the rest of the kills, the ultimate charge that comes with that, and they're actually getting time to set up further down the streets where Element Mystic are not.
2 for 1 you mentioned. Well, Pixie, I can't pass up a sale here. So for XL2,
Love a bargain.
We're moving forward. It's straight on to B. The time looks absolutely fantastic. Element Mystic slightly rattled there, losing MCD at the start in a bit of a recovery phase, but they finally reset. That's important because they need the full 6v6 where they're not behind.
And you might think, like, double shields, what's the point of pulling out the Widowmaker? You're never going to get anything, but hey, when you do, man, this is what happens. Now XL2 just trying to keep the momentum going. Element Mystic don't want to roll over quickly, but honestly, with the ultimate advantage that XL2 have accrued, it's not like EM have much of a choice here. Sparkle is at least going to take one with him, but he's not going to last much longer. Doha digging deep on that one. I think he maybe got the dollar bills in his eyes. Heck, may still pick up those dollar bills, actually. They didn't
he might be cashing in.
They didn't shut him down, and now he's still alive with some wind at his back, and by wind, I mean the supports of MCD and Unique.
This guy's just walking straight to the bank right now, cashing in all those dollars you mentioned. MCD is going to take one as well, and XL2 going to have this one shut down pretty early. You expected a little bit more momentum on this specific cart push, but they get stopped up before we reach the final corner. Now EM have control of the point itself. They have the control of the corner. They have the spacing.
As the saying goes, run through the finish line, not to the finish line. It actually felt like XL2 had that fight but they just didn't quite get that last little tick of damage on the right people at the right times and got punished pretty hard for it.
Still have 4 ultimates though. They can lean on this for their next entry. Element Mystic control the spacing once more. Who's going to go in first? It's going to be a big flux.
Pulls them all into it ahead of time as well. They get brought back down, but they are saved by OG's sound barrier. So now XL2 looking for their approach to the fight as that coalescence runs out.
Sparkle's in a lot of trouble. Speedy gets that kill. Sound barrier, a little too slow from Unique.
Fraction of a hair too late. Doha knows what his play is now. Unfortunately, will not quite get the opportunity. He had to hide out, maybe see if he could pull it back around with another good Death Blossom. But without that, with the absence of that play, XL2 are going to win the fight that you feel they could have won last time.
And that's 2 of the DPSs down now. I will say this time around, XL2 once more came in with a fairly big ultimate advantage. Last time it was just momentum from the cut, momentum through capping A and moving through B while EM was still resetting. This is now going to be a cap on B as well. You're now starting to believe XL2 should be expected to finish King's Row.
EM though, coming into a lot of ultimates for this next fight. XL2 might cap out at the end of the day, but you feel like EM still have a lot of tools to slow it down. Nicely done, just stalling up Sparkle, finishing him off as well, and getting the supercharger. The door is now wide open for XL2.
Oh,
and
Speedily!
If it's not, it's a ranch slider. They'll just shatter the glass. Speedily looking out for the Meteor Strike Slam. Dunk down on top of Alpha is the play. Now pushing forward into the rest of the team. XL2 preserving that momentum once again.
And what is happening to EM here? Sparkle goes and instantly gets knocked away by Budge's accretion. Goes down slightly afterwards that as well. A supercharger not going to be useful enough for Element Mystic. And XL2 get this huge cleanup. KSP is really showing up in the series. And currently, I think this is going to be a cap.
You gotta believe it. I said that Element Mystic had a lot of tools to slow XL2 down, but they've lost one of their opportunities to do that, and now they actually have less tools for this go around. So Haku, early coalescence as they push in. Unique will have sound barrier to keep them safe and steady for the time being. They need these ultimates to come up big. This could be the one actually.
Speaking of ultimates coming up big, sound barrier for the counter against the Flux. KSP's looking for an angle. Does get stunned up fairly early though.
Oh, that's a nice one there, setting that one up to Sparkle, and that's how you do it, Element Mystic. All the cards got laid down on the table. Element Mystic get the play. Again, costly, but where last time they failed to accomplish that slowdown, this time they have. Now they get an opportunity for more. If they can burn down the clock here, they can really recover from this position.
Time is still so far on XL2's side. They still have a few more pushes, more than a few pushes, actually, before the time really starts to get low. And the expectation is still sit in there. They had over 4 minutes walking on to C. That means they realistically should be able to cap Element Mystic. Finally digging in their heels, are trying to undo that.
XL2 are going to come in with a nice gamut of ultimates though. KSP will definitely be looking for that angle. Supercharger down now for Element Mystic. They've drawn their line of the sand. It gets finished off very fast. Haku though, picked out on the backside. Sparkle able to get that one off. You're looking at the damage coming through from KSP. They need to get a bit more. They finally finished up a couple now, and this is where the floodgates can open if they can finish off these members. Sparkle though, that's you know, you come around the corner and that's in your face. Not quite what you wanted to find. Surprise. Now Sparkle down, but Speedily as well, and Element Mystic still in a recoverable position potentially.
Speaking of recovery, that's exactly what Element Mystic are doing because they were down at the start of this fight. They're relying on reinforcements now as XL2 look to back off. They're losing far too many members. That's going to be a failed attempt here. 1 minute off that clock, 2 more still remaining. The big problem is their next push, they're going into 4 if not 5 EM ults.
That's the thing I said. There was that moment where the floodgates were potentially opened. Unfortunately, instead of a raging torrent, we got a bit of a tepid trickle. And with that, Element Mystic were able to plug the dams. Now, XL2, they don't have as much force of water behind them for this next fight. And already we see that in Speedily low and now down. Quick, smart, very clean by EM.
Doha, he did get his Death Blossom shut down, but the rest of the result was still the same. EM currently still hold all the cards here. Buzz put the Flux in there. Unique actually didn't have the sound barrier in time, which is why he has a sound barrier now. He was a few percent off. And XL2 still couldn't quite secure enough members off that ultimate. Element Mystic are just hanging on, but they're hanging on more and more to the point where they're at the stage where you also expect them to potentially just hold on to single time.
XL2 don't have the sort of time to get more ultimates out from Element Mystic before they get their ideal fight. They kind of just have to start treating every one of these fights as the one that's going to win it on. Element Mystic, once again! What goes up must come down, then it goes straight 6 feet under when it does so. XL2 rebuffed again. I don't know if they can do it at this point.
Comes down and comes down even harder with the Meteor Strikes in there as well. Let's take a look at it from Sparkle's POV. just directly on top of so many members, slapping them out of the universe.
The timing was so slick as well between those two, just a fraction of a second.
This is now XL2 potentially in last fight territory. There's only about 30 seconds remaining, and losing OG so quickly is not good.
30 seconds left means if the rest of these members can pull back, they can at least go in just one last time, but still, that's just more ult charge for EM.
It's going to be that one push that was probably going to be anyway, but they were able to reset with 4 members alive. Element Mystic respect that one. They back off as well. This is forward positioning from Alpha, which means EM are going to fight here.
Alpha did use the supercharges. There is one less, but KSP bumped up, finds Houndbit, lands straight back down and finds 2 more as well. Just on the last tick of damage from that Death Blossom. And that's just enough for XL2 to get back in possession of the payload.
And the overtime just ticks over, which means, okay, Element Mystic is still waiting for members. Alpha now in the Wrecking Ball. Accretion dodge, but he needs to get the card.
Don't know if he'll last all that long down on here. The Gravitic Flux from Bud's not the hottest, unfortunately. In fact, might go down if he's not careful. Sparkle's found KSP. Parker's got to keep these members alive, and Sparkle comes back in hot. Doha as well. They're going to pull this one back from the brink at this rate. XL2 looked like they finally had it. I didn't think Alpha would last long, but he lasts all the way until the end and just shy of the cap. Wouldn't it be a heartbreaker? Element Mystic are going to hold off XL2.
And if it becomes the case where, look, Element Mystic roll all the way through to C, you're going to wish we saw that time bank coming through from XL2, where, again, they had about 4 minutes plus rolling into C. The expectation was they got a cap off this. It's far too much time for them to not be able to. They got so close right towards the end, but they needed that push so much sooner, because if they had that push at around the 2-minute, 3-minute mark, they still got enough time to get back on this card at this positioning, win that one fight, and they roll the card over the finish line.
Oh man. Let's take a bit of a breather, because this is getting heated. And I thought we were out of the hot matches. I thought we were out of the spicy side of the day where teams get sent home, and that's what you're playing for. But man, XL2, they're just coming so close time and time again. We had those 99-99s back on Achilios that didn't quite come through. Now I feel like we've seen a similar thing on King's Row.
And I think it shows the competitiveness between the two teams. However, when it really matters, Element Mystic have been able to edge out XL2 time and time again as well, because we get to the ending moments. Who's really putting on the carry pants here? Sparkle's doing work on the Doomfist. Doha comes out. Death Blossom will pick up members. Alpha is able to stall on the count for a lengthy amount of time. Doesn't actually go down towards the end. And for all of the good that XL end up doing, right at the final moment is when they can't quite cross the line.
A little bit of an unfortunate one for XL2, but look, defense is a thing. You can still win it. I want to see Sparkle get an entry frag as well. I want that to be equalized between the two teams.
Well, certainly help their offense, but I think XL2 are going to wisen up to that one very quickly. I think MCD is, unfortunately, would you probably be quite unhappy with the way he went down, because there's a lot of shields to hide behind.
Yeah.
Really, no one should go down to an entry Widowmaker snipe.
He could put it well and truly behind him, though. This Element Mystic come in for their offense.
KSP on the flank, by the way, could have some pressure behind him, but goes down
Doha
super
as well.
fast.
You saw a similar angle coming in from Element Mystic. They have got the better hand of that one. Sparkle as well unlocked, and as per usual, once we see that become the case, it starts to work out for them, and also seeing Hanbin just in his regular places around the kill feed.
And as both the Reapers start to go down here, we deal with the flankers, we start to get back into the meat with the fight with the tanks. Giggs just loses his positioning, Giggs goes down, Element Mystic push forward, Alpha's still alive, Doha stayed alive longer than KSP as well, which gives Element Mystic a little bit more time to work with on that main front, and now we get to be very quickly in a similar fashion to what we saw from XL2, Cap and A fast, Element Mystic are matching.
XL2 had that coalescence early, but unfortunately weren't in a position where they could use it, so now MCD can match, and outside of that ultimate, Element Mystic are closer to the rest of theirs, and KSP is already dead as well, so they might not even need to use the rest of theirs as these coalescences start to run out. Big brought low, looking to get picked off alongside Buds. That'll be Element Mystic keeping momentum.
And XL2 just needed to find the rest of the ultimates, because as soon as the coalescence for Haku ran out, we're looking at OG, Sound Barrier, how far away? Too far away. Buds, how far away is the Flux? Just slightly off. That one's a bit of a heartbreaker. Speedily just managed to get the Meteor Strike, but XL2 cannot hold on. They couldn't make the trades happen, and they lose the spacing. Element Mystic push forward.
Plenty of time here for them too. About similar to what XL2 had, but XL2 started getting stopped short. This is where they need to replicate Element Mystic's success on the defense. Just lining up.
Defensive ultimates available now. Should be seeing the Sound Barrier. Unique's going to pop that one in. EM still hold a lot of cards though.
Speedily brought low. That Meteor Strike might just be to reposition, but Sparkles, on the other hand, is going to be to go right on in as per usual. Buds down. There it is. Doha opens that one up, and that's what it feels like with this team, man. If Sparkle doesn't get something nuts with his ultimate, Doha's going to do it with his instead.
We're at the sort of position as well where Element Mystic says, this is how it's done. We're going to walk into C with a lot of time. Actually, more time than XL2.
Yeah.
They should be comfortably walking towards the end here. Surely with 5:30, you are going to make the cap happen.
And it's not like it's a situation where they might just go into time bank with a big advantage. Like, they've got 5 minutes to just cap and win out the map. XL2 have a mammoth defense ahead of them. It's going to have to start with something a bit better than speedily getting picked off. I dare say KSP feeling the heat as well. As Element Mystic, they're piling on to XL2, forcing them further and further back. The payload isn't exactly moving right now, but they are getting the kills. They are still getting the picks. Sparkle's 2 for 2.
How many times is KSP going to go down super early with someone like Sparkle? And we needed to see the Death Blossom as well. Doa's popping off now as well. XL2 waiting for respawners, and this is going to be the push.
I don't even know if they can get back here, and even if they do, there's still, what, some 4-something minutes that they'll have to hold out for. They at least touch the payload thanks to KSP. He has got a Death Blossom, and it's just got nothing done, unfortunately. Sparkle's still in the thick of things. KSP down himself, Gig as well, and it's not long for the rest of them, surely. OG Sound Barrier only finds himself, and an absolutely dominating performance after what was arguably a shaky Achilios through one perspective, but on another perspective, maybe that was shaking off the rust because Element Mystic look like dynamite.
And this is where Element Mystic starts to really run away with the game as well. Not to be confused with the runaway they'll be seeing later on in the tournament if they have anything to say about it, but XL2, I mean, once more, they get close, but just not close enough, and then when it goes to the other end, Ian make it look easy. That was such a clean offense through and through, and what the players actually want to highlight here is Hanbin on the Sigma. He had 14,000, now 15,000 damage per 10. That's about 5,000 to 4,000 more damage per 10 than any other player, including the DPSs. Hanbin did so much in this entire map. He's going to be the guy I'm looking at.
We already highlighted him as a bit of a difference maker earlier today for Element Mystic, and has already proven to be a little bit of the same today. With that, Element Mystic feeling like their old selves, as I keep seeming to say, because this is what we expected out of them. 2-0 up in the series. We'll see if that becomes a 3-0 right after this break.